How do I differentiate between like if it's too strong of an answer choice or if it's like just what the necessary assumption is? Because I assume, oh, this must be like this is too strong, and then it turns out to be the right answer. Like, how do I differentiate between like that the sufficient assumption and necessary assumption?
Sure. So I'll talk in general about extreme versus moderate language.
Mhm.
Extreme language, you could look for the degree of certainty in the conclusion or the category of things they're discussing. So extreme language would be like all, always, never, or nearly always, or virtually always, or most of the time. And then more moderate language would say things like sometimes or have qualifiers, like instead of saying all people in the world, all people who have this particular characteristic, narrowing the scope of who they're talking about.
So I have to pick an answer choice that's in the same line with the conclusion. Like, is that what you're implying, or?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that you want language that is of similar strength to
Mm,
the argument's language for necessary assumption.
okay,
It cannot go beyond what the argument was suggesting.
but it cannot fall short either.
It can be more narrow for necessary assumption.
Mm,
If we have an argument saying all people who take the LSAT go to law school, and we
mm,
narrow that to say all people who scored 150 and above go to law school, that is more moderate than the stimulus, than the initial one is, but it still includes it.
mm.
The argument still includes that more specific group. Sufficient assumption, on the other hand, the language could be as extreme as you want, as long as it gets the job done of guaranteeing the conclusion. So you could even think of it as being like a more general principle a lot of the time that guarantees the specific case in the stimulus.
Mm.
But
Okay.
the approaches for necessary and sufficient assumption questions are very different. Sufficient assumption questions often lend themselves to formal logic diagramming, whereas necessary assumption questions are more informal logic. It's really just seeing what is required by the argument, what is contained within it. A person who believes in the argument is logically committed to believing all underlying necessary assumptions. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.